We teach girls to shrink themselves, to make themselves smaller. We say to girls, you can have ambition, but not too much. You should aim to be successful, but not too successful, otherwise you will threaten the man.
With an economy that is becoming increasingly dependent on the production of oil and technology, the engineering field is growing rapidly. More students are majoring in engineering at this point in time than any time before. The problem is, however, the number of men and women studying and working in the engineering field is extremely disproportionate. Women account for over 50% of all bachelor degrees obtained in the U.S., but only 20% of bachelor degrees in engineering. That means for every 8 men in engineering, there are only 2 women. Of those 20%, even less actually go to work in the engineering field. Our group poses the question, should affirmative action take place in admissions for women in engineering in order to close the gender gap? Or should more support systems be offered for women while they are in school to secure higher graduation rates and an increase in women employed in the engineering field? America has experienced legal strife with affirmative action, predominantly in regards to race. While many disagree with its policies and accusations of reverse racism, it has proved to be effective and help close racial gaps and provide the minorities of the American population with greater opportunities. Currently, the group at a disadvantage is women in engineering, and they need help breaking into a male-dominated field. Do we use the controversial affirmative action, or do we base admission and job placement solely on achievement? Equality or merit? Which do we choose, and how do we make that decision?
The University of Texas has done a very good job of arguing in favor to say that we think this leads to a more holistic approach, that if we keep quotas in place, we're going to end up with a final student population that is all equal in terms of capability. And of the applicable pool, though, when we get through that and we have qualified, we'd like to end up with a student body that looks of a certain way. Mm-hmm. We think that students will have a better representation, that they'll better experience the university, they'll get a more, I hate to use the word holistic, but it was a touchy-feely when I was a lawyer. I'll stray away from that. If the goal of the quota is to just start the class out on equal footing, then they've accomplished that by doing 50-50. If that's the sole goal of the quota, then who cares what the result is after that? Because they've achieved their goal, which was to start everyone out 50-50. If it doesn't result that way in the end, well, that wasn't, I don't know if that's not the quota. You know, the goal of the quota is to have 50-50 graduates, then certainly look at what's taking place in between. But if it's purely about starting out, you know, like at the gate, men and women are lined up on line equally with each other, then the quota does its job, which is why quotas really only do the very first job, which is get them at the line. And I think it's effective in doing that. I mean, clearly, that's the whole point. They only take 50-50, and then you start. After that, you know, sink or swim. I can put them all, you know, in a marathon. Everyone starts off together, but they're not all going to finish. And do we really need to go in and ask everyone, well, why couldn't you get there?
Dolls and Barbies and cook and all this stuff, while guys are playing with Legos and building and already, you know, I mean, that's pretty much what a civil engineer does. They build stuff. Mm-hmm. But a girl doesn't touch that, doesn't think about that until, I don't know, elementary school, like later on. Yeah, I do think there's an intimidation factor, but I mean, there is programs for support out there. You know, there's the women engineering program that helps women to stay in engineering, and also, yes, there's a lot of guys, you know, in engineering, but it's not like we're discriminating, it's not like we're not helpful. I guess technically it does, but I don't see anything really wrong with that.
So you would say that's fair?
In a way, yes.
Okay.
Yes. But, yeah.
Would you say that it's because of the imbalance that exists right now? Like, do you think it should always be that way, or do you think that one day it'll come to a point
I think
where...
one day it will come to a point where we don't need this rules and this support system, but they'll need like a reform of our society. So until we get to that point, then we can get rid of this support systems.
Okay, so
I would think it would help, just because they're basically guaranteed a spot if they apply. It's just a matter of fact of getting the women to apply. That is the problem, because I know being a female in a STEM major, there's not a lot of interest. I would think it harms the men. Just because obviously there's more guys trying to get into engineering. And having that limited spot, of course, they don't have that. The wrong word, I feel lack of support, I guess. Just because there's a lot more support systems for guys, or just overall friends. There's more guys that you can go to. As for girls, there's always not enough. I feel a lot of girls drop out just because they don't have that support system, or they're not introduced to programs such as like Women in Engineering, or support systems that are going to help them succeed and are going to help them graduate.
Girls, we run this mother. Yeah. Girls, we run this mother. Yeah. Girls, we run this mother. Yeah. Girls, we run this mother. Girls, who run the world? Girls.